Welcome to Becoming Fearless, the personal growth podcast for you if you are ready to overcome fear and step into your greatness. Our purpose is to help you overcome your limits, have loads of fun along the way, unlocking your fullest potential in life, business, health and relationships every single day. I'm your host, Charlotte Carter, a high-performance coach and entrepreneur with over 20 years' experience. I've supported many highly driven, talented people like you who dream big and are ready to take action to overcome what's holding them back. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing hacks and habits on how to build self-belief, courage and confidence to master your mindset and navigate your emotions so that you can reach your human potential in a way that feels light, fun and easeful and helps you become fearless. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming Fearless podcast. I am bringing to you today a guest episode with the wonderful Gwen, who I met recently on in a program that we're both in, and we just kind of had a conversation, and the rest is history. But let's go into a little bit about what you do now, Gwen. In terms of your business, and let's introduce you to the world and to the people who are listening.
Thank you. So thank you for inviting me, first of all, Charlotte. So I'm Gwenne Dickson from Living Your Best Life Coaching, and I call myself an empowerment coach. Sometimes these things evolve as we're evolving. I'm an empowerment coach, I'm a spiritual empowerment coach, and really what I like to do is, probably looking back on my own experience, I've gone from working in corporate for many years to getting the opportunity of redundancy. And before I got that, I was dabbling in a lot of things. I learned NLP. I became an NLP a practitioner and then a master practitioner. I learned Reiki, meditation, all the things that I was doing for myself, for my own development, for my own empowerment, if you like. And then I decided, when I got the opportunity of redundancy, that actually this was my time to transform things for myself and to transform things for others, because I'd wanted to do that for a while, especially with the NLP work that I was doing at that time. It really helped me to uncover a lot of things in terms of my purpose, in terms of what I wanted to do. And I often reflect back on that now. Things that were lessons at the time come round again in a new way now, and especially in having like a positive ripple effect was what I wanted to do. And that's a theme that ripples and echoes through my life. So yeah, I wanted to take the things that I had learned and used for myself, the tools that I'd learned for myself, to improve things for myself, and then to share that with others in some shape or form. And again, that has evolved over the time that I've done that. And as I say, I was doing it in the background for a long time, for my own purposes, really. At that point, as I was working in financial services, I was a customer relations manager, and then went on to do another role within that company. I did many roles within that company, but went in to do another role that kind of was a sidestep from being a manager, and that was the right thing for me, and allowed me to focus more on relationships, and also it allowed me to be at the time. What was important for me was to only be responsible for myself, because being responsible for the people below you and being accountable to people above you can not be a good place to be if you're not in a good place yourself. So it was the right move for me to get a sideways move that allowed me to focus more on the things that I wanted to do outside of that work, outside of that career, and to realise, like, this is not self-love for me. This isn't where I want to be. This isn't where I don't see myself here until retirement. There's more for me, and I need to do something for myself. But being honest, with the name of the podcast is Becoming Fearless. I probably wouldn't have become fearless and done that if I hadn't got the opportunity of redundancy that actually allowed me to take a step back and allowed me to do something, to take a pause in my own life and reflect, okay, what is it I want to do? I know what I don't want to do, and I broadly know what I want to do, and it's the in between that liminal space of where do I go and how do I do that, and how do I support myself, help myself, and how do I help others. So it's a very long answer, but that's my background in a nutshell, I suppose.
Thank you. Let's just rewind a little bit on some things that you've said, because there will be people that are listening that are in a similar place than you were in when you were in this corporate role and you were managing people and you were in the system, should we say, and there were people higher up, further on, above you, whatever phrase you want, and you were in that kind of sandwich. And you knew that's not what you wanted to do. And it's also, like, in your words, it's not a great place when you're not in a great place yourself for whatever reason. It's a difficult piece for people that are in that kind of space, because people listening to this will be in that kind of, like, I'm in the corporate space. I know I'm here for more. This isn't kind of what I want to be doing. What sort of things were you doing and feeling, if you take yourself back to that time? I know you were starting to do some work on yourself, but what were the kind of, like, frustrations that were going on for you that other people may identify with if they're listening?
The frustration for me, I suppose, at the time that was predominant, was a couple of things, but it was the I suppose the emphasis on stats, KPIs, and all these things rather than versus people. And as a people manager and very much a people person, what I wanted to do was help people to develop, help people to give them that personal development side and help them to evolve and do the best job that they could. Sometimes you felt, you have to fit people into boxes. We have to, obviously you've got to manage people and you've got to have ways of doing that, objectives, goals and all these sort of things. But sometimes we're so rigid within that. What frustrated me the most was that I felt like the aspects of the job that I liked and where I could help people the most were the ones that I had least time to do. And you're busy hammering people over the head with, oh, you've not completed enough cases, right? And I was a manager in a complaints environment, which is a hard enough job as it is. People were dealing with, the people who'd had the worst experience with the company, and we wanted to try and turn that around. But then we were also, performance management. It's more. It seemed more. It was often used as a stick to beat people up with than it was, to actually help people to get, empower themselves and get the best out of themselves. And I had a lot of frustrations with that, and there was always that sort of dichotomy, I suppose, of like wanting to do the best and wanting the best for my people, but feeling that I wasn't giving them my best, nor was I getting the best out of them because of the other pressures on me and the other, the pressures within the company and particularly within our area. And that sometimes came out, because I did care a lot for the people. I remember a time, and people might see themselves in this or have had similar experiences where we were having like it was a celebration. It was like an awards ceremony type thing, where you wanted to reward people for good performance or for what they'd done, achieved throughout the year and things like that. And I was speaking from the heart and celebrating someone, and then someone else who was in my team at the time, and he was actually trying to help, but he interrupted me when I was kind of in full flow, really speaking from the heart and sharing what someone had done. And I kind of bit his head off because I was like, don't interrupt me when I'm trying to do this, and when it was something that meant a lot to me. And then I felt really guilty afterwards and had to kind of pick up the pieces afterwards because, people were like, there was this kind of, clash at the time. But it was, it was because it meant so much to me what I was sharing at that time. And I was I was in that space where I was actually having an opportunity to praise someone and to, as I say, celebrate their achievements, which we didn't get many of. And then I can't even remember what was said at the time. I can just remember the kind of repercussions of it. And I suppose those are the moments when you feel like, right, this is not the right place for me, or, this is not the right environment for me anymore. And I was feeling a lot of physical, mental, emotional impacts and so on myself. And that was why I was doing the work on myself that I sort of talked about. And I was spending a lot of time outside of work doing that because I was stressed, I was anxious, I had physical symptoms. I remember waking up in the morning, feeling like, oh, I don't want to do this. And I would wake up earlier and earlier trying to do meditation practices or ways to kind of set myself up for the day just so that I could get out the door and go and do the job. So yeah, I'm sure there's people who will recognise themselves in some of those things.
Yeah, for certain, Gwen. And I think there's an element there, isn't it, that I want to touch on next, which is about two things really. One's about passion. When people have something that they're really passionate about, it's like a yearning, isn't it, inside of people, and they've really got to get this out. Some people don't know where to start with that, which is what I want to talk about next. But I also want to talk about when people don't feel seen or heard, and kind of like what behaviours come out. Because obviously in that incident that you just spoke about, there was a piece where you were totally using your voice, using your passion, and really wanted to celebrate this person, and then you were just like cut off and not allowed to, or not given permission to, should we say. And I know that's something that you and I have spoke about in the spaces that we're in, but also it's something that's very, very common when people first start going into personal growth and development, and they start to become aware of either when people aren't seeing them, hearing them, or they're not using their voice, they're quieting themselves down. Do you think that was a step for you, this piece of awareness about using your voice?
Yeah, very much so. And very much, like, to me, what I take from it now, and I did at the time, and this is what I explained at the time, I had to kind of apologise for it as well, but also I had to explain, like, that I was, it was very much me speaking from the heart, and so it was, like, as you say, that place of passion and that authenticity, and that it was unrehearsed, or it was, I had a message that I wanted to get across, and that was very important to me. And it was important that the person that I wanted to celebrate received that as well. And then this sort of wasn't a heckle, but that's kind of how it felt at the time. As I say, it was just something that kind of took me away from the moment and took away from the moment for the person who was meant to receive it, etc. And it became something else. But yeah, it is that thing of, like, yeah, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, and especially in those kind of environments where they're a pressured environment, you want to be rewarded and recognised for the difficult job that you're doing, and for the the efforts that you've gone to, or what have you, and you want those to be celebrated. Of course, that especially in that kind of environment, I think in corporate, we're often seen as, monetary remuneration being the thing, or you get a promotion, or you get something that is quite tangible. But actually, the things that often mean the most are the kind of intangibles, or the things that are less hard to sort of to grasp onto, if you like. But it's those things that mean the most. Is that recognition? Is that thank you for doing a good job? That's the thing that motivates people, or that's the thing that people remember when someone actually does see and hear them and value them, over and above something on a performance management form or a paycheck. Yeah, the paycheck's nice at the end of the day. That's not everyone's key motivator. It's good and it's nice to have, and we want to be valued, but there's so many other ways that we can value ourselves and value each other. So yeah, that was what was sort of key to me within that.
And I think one of the key aspects there is, and I can remember, and it's quite a common phrase now, it's like people will remember how you made them feel. And I think that's what happens when people move from corporate in particular. I've had clients who I've supported move out of corporate into setting up their own business. And one of the biggest things is about actually, when you're in your own business and you're creating opportunities, and we'll talk about your business in a minute, about how you help people navigate life and, create this brilliant life that they can step into and embody. There's this piece around feelings and being brave enough and courageous enough and overcoming your fear to actually own some of those feelings, because some of them can be scary as anything, can't they? And they can be overwhelming, and they can be, a bit larger than life. So talk us through what happened when you were like, I'm going to take this redundancy, and talk us through that bit. You took it, and talk through the day one of you not going to that job. What were you doing then, and what were you thinking? Was the business in your head then, or where were you then?
It was in my head, and yeah, because I remember even when I was at work and I was taking time off to do the beginning of my NLP Master Practitioner training, and I remember my boss at the time going, "What, you're taking a holiday to do that?" Kind of like he just didn't get that at all. Thought it was weird though. But I was like, well, yeah, it's important to me. It's something I want to do. And so, yeah. But when I did actually get the redundancy, I took a bit of time out to decompress, quite frankly, because I'd worked in corporate from when I was 16. I'd been there for almost 37 years. And I needed a bit of time out for me. So that will tell you, that was 2 or 3 years ago. So that'll give you a clue to my age. But so it was why I'm passionate about people making changes in midlife as well, that we can make changes in midlife. That we're not fixed in stone. We can be who we want to be at any time and choose to change direction. But anyway, sorry, digressing slightly. But yeah, so at that time, I was like, oh, I just need a bit of time out to, as I say, to be me and to give myself a bit of space and grace to find out, okay, I kind of know, well, I do know what I want to do, and I kind of know how I want to do it. I haven't got a clue really in terms of a lot of these things, because we become so institutionalized when you work somewhere for that long. I had loads of different jobs within that, but ultimately you're used to someone else telling you, what to do, kind of how to do it, and a lot of these things, and you figure out your own thing within that. But it's quite daunting to go from that to then being like, oh, I'm now, I have to be everything to myself. And actually you don't. I was lucky that I had a network like the way that we've discovered each other and found each other through our mutual friends and the work that we do, and how the sort of cross section that we have, I suppose. I was lucky because I'd done a lot of these things for myself behind the scenes, if you like, that I had that network. And also reflecting on it now, I was quite lucky the fact that it was a COVID or lockdown or however, that kind of precipitated that. It also gave us a bit of breathing space that they didn't do it during COVID. We knew that it was coming, that our jobs were getting looked at and that redundancy was a possibility. So that actually gave me a bit of time to go, right, I know I want to do something here, so let's, investigate things, and also to kind of set up my network so that I knew that I was supported, and working from home, working like this on a PC at a desk by myself rather than a big office. That made that transition easier, because I wasn't having to go from, working with hundreds of people and having loads of people around. We'd been working from home for a long time, and actually they paid for us to, the chair that I'm sitting on and the desk that I'm working at, my previous job paid for that. So that was a great thing. So that transition was made easier by that. And I had a support network in terms of, friends who had done similar training and were doing similar things. And I was able to call upon of like, well, how do you do this on Zoom, or how do you do this thing in the kind of business side of things? But also I had that passion for what had helped me get to the place where I had got to, what had worked for me, and that I had to use that for other people. I had that, as I say, that desire to create a positive ripple effect in my world that I'd sort of identified through that training. And I was like, right, now I have to go out there and do that. And that's still evolving, as always happens with my work. I always kind of go first, and I go through the things, and I learn by doing, by embodying, by understanding. And then I'm like, okay, now I put this into my work, and now that's the people that I attract, that's the people that I help who are going through similar things. So it's not a cookie cutter approach, or it's not a, here's 10 steps to do such and such. It's very much like, here's what I've learned and have gone through, and I've, what has got me out of that, and what I've put together through that. And here's how you can adapt it. Here's how you can do this for yourself and ultimately empower yourself. Because my aim for the people that I work with is I want them to love themselves and to transform into who they want to be. And I want them to reconnect with and remember who they are, and to discover their own power and remember their own power, and to ultimately not really need me. That's the ideal, is when they're like, I can do this, and I can step into this role and I can embody that. And if they want to go and do something similar, great. And if they don't, that's ideal. It's like whatever their best life is for them, whatever flourishing is for them, whatever sensational is for them, that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate prize for me, is to see someone doing that and being that.
I love that, Gwen. I really love that. So let's talk a little bit about the people that you really love working with. So if people are listening, they're like, okay, I like what Gwen's saying. I've had a similar background. I'm, whatever age, 40, 50, 60, whatever it is, whatever midlife span is. And I'm ready for change or transformation, or I'm ready to rediscover who I am, should we say. What are the kind of people that you really love working with? Is it men, women? Is it who are the people that you really like? Do you know what? I'd love to help you. What are their characteristics?
It's mostly women that I work with at the moment. I do have some male clients, but they're, I guess I would say they're more hesitant, but also it's about my message and how I communicate with them, I suppose, as well, and invite them into this kind of world, and obviously we're on a podcast now. What I love listening to podcasts, and what I love more and more is on the podcasts that I listen to is people like Stephen Bartlett and gosh, I've been listening to a few podcasts lately with sports people and guys in particular who are coming out now and saying, I really struggled with my mental health, or I was this type of person when I was that, and achieved these things, but actually now I'm much more about this. So I'd love to move into that kind of world where I can have those conversations, or work with men more to like enable them to kind of come out the closet, if you like, and not feel like they have to meet male stereotypes and be a certain person who has it all together, or feel like they have to be a role model in a certain way, and that means they have to suppress their feelings or not talk about them, or all the kind of tropes that we have around masculinity and so on. But for the moment, it's mostly women that I work with, and that's changing. As I say, that's something that will develop, and I trust that will happen, and that as I develop my voice, I suppose that I will naturally attract the people who need that, male or female, or anyone who needs that work. But mainly the people that I love to work with are people who kind of have a purpose, but have maybe felt purposeless, or have felt like they've been put on hold by life. Often the people that come to work with me, they just feel like something's happened that's pulled the rug out from under them, or whether that be through illness, whether that be through grief, loss. It can be, work. It can be those kind of identity pieces that we feel like we play so many roles, especially by the time we get to middle age, whatever that is, you say, whatever number we put on that for ourselves, or whenever we recognise ourselves, we're in that stage of like, I've spent so long playing this role, being a manager, being a wife, a mother, whatever it is, or a high flyer, in terms of a lot of people that you work with, we put so much of our identity into these roles that we play. And then if that role shifts and changes, then we're left feeling like, well, who am I without that? Who am I without this title? Or who am I without, even it can be a caring role or a parent, or, so many things that we can't identify with ourselves, or we feel like we've lost a piece of ourselves because that role has gone, or that the way that we, as I say, identify ourselves. And that's what often happens is people, they feel lost, they feel, stuck, they feel like they've gone on hold, or they feel like I can't move forward. I don't know who I am anymore. I feel disconnected from life in some way, and I want to reconnect, and I want to get out of this feeling. I want to transform things. I need some help to move forward, and that's who often comes to me. And I love it, as I say, when you see that person then turn round. And I had a client who as a teacher. She's in education. When she came to me, she had a lot of physical symptoms. She was feeling down. She had some, I wouldn't say necessarily mental health problems, but she had some low mood and physical symptoms, and they exacerbated each other. And also, she was feeling really fed up with being in education. Not that she loved working with the kids. She didn't like the politics and a lot of the things that surrounded that. And she was very disillusioned with it and was having some problems in her own family. So there were so many things going on that she decided to come and work with me. And she did my 3-month programme. And she's done other things subsequently. And what I love seeing now is that she truly is flourishing. She's living her best life. And one of the main things with that is that she's then gone on to... she's learning how to teach mindfulness to kids, and she was doing that in her own time. She's now been asked by her headmaster to do that, to add that to the school curriculum in her primary school, and to help awaken kids and help kids become conscious, so they don't get to their midlife and have crisis or need to transform. That she's helping the next generation to not have to do the work that we have to do on ourselves. So that's my as I say, that's one of my best examples, and I just love seeing people thrive and flourish and become all that they are in that way. And she had physical improvements, and her relationships improved, and obviously her working life's improved. So it impacts us all round, and ripples out to the people beyond us, whether that's your immediate family, whether that's your colleagues, her school kids, and so on. So I get quite impassioned about that when I talk about these kind of things.
And so you should, because it's such a great mission that you've got, Gwen, isn't it? To share out into the world to help people, live their best life, and also the ripple effect of the work that both you and I do on so many levels is that whole holistic, intrinsic part of the person's life in every area that they show up and they live and breathe, but then the ripple effect that they then pass on. So that teacher, for example, should be teaching some of those children. Some of those children have got siblings, friends, cousins, etc., and it just goes on and wider and wider and wider. And the nature of that impact on the world is absolutely priceless, and I'm just super grateful that you're one of the people that step up and do that, because I know what it's like when you're the person that does it first and then goes and teaches and leads. You've got to really embody what it is that you teach to be able to be authentic in yourself, especially in this field and in the work of personal growth and change and transformation. You've got to be able to walk the walk. It's important, isn't it?
Yeah, and also to know that we don't need to have all the answers, because I think that's the thing that holds us back sometimes, is that we feel like, if I'm putting myself out there in this position or saying that I'm going to help you with this, does that mean that I need to be perfect in all areas of my life, or does it need to I have to have it all sus? But no, and one thing that's a real theme as well is that I'm a guide for other people. I'm not saying I've got it perfect or I've done X, Y, and Z, but I'm that little step further along the road, and I'm holding a hand out to you to bring them with me, and they're teaching me as well. And I've just finished doing a short program with it's an intimate program with a small group, and at first I'll be honest, I was a bit like, I would have liked more people. We've spoken about this before, but actually the people that I got were perfect, and it was actually perfect for me as well, because that really kind of stretched and challenged me, or opened things up for me in a different way, because I'm working a different way energetically, and to enable me for me to be able to hold space for them through their transformation, and also they kind of held space for me through mine to a certain degree. So, I've acknowledged them and said thank you for teaching me and showing me different aspects of my work through this. So it's really important in that way, and I hope it's been transformational for them as well. But yeah, equally that reflects back to me, and I'm grateful for that, because the next program becomes different, or I my work moves in a different way, because I've seen what was possible through that. And so I think it's good to know that whilst we can be a teacher or a leader in some way, that we're equally open to them teaching and leading us, and we're all learning together, and so you can let ourselves off the hook a little bit with that as well, that we don't have to have all the answers and be perfect. We can just, a bit like, there's a phrase of like, we're all walking each other home, and that's coming to the fore for some reason. So that might resonate with someone as well, who feels like they want to do something like that, but maybe doesn't feel confident already. You might never, but you'll know when it's time.
Yeah, I love that, Gwen. So underneath the podcast will be all the notes and details of how to get hold of Gwen. And if you want to get a hold of her about this program, are you going to do the program again? Do you know where you are with that program? Have you got anything? How's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
The best way for people to get a hold of me is mainly through Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. Facebook is, I've got a Facebook group, Living Your Best Life Soul Family, and my Facebook page, Living Your Best Life Coaching with Gwenne Dickson, which is a bit long-winded, but luckily the link's a bit shorter. I do have a website, but the website is always a bit of a work in progress. So I would say get in touch on Facebook, or as I say, if you want to connect on LinkedIn. I love expanding my my network there as well, and like, actually, I like to think that when people are like us are on LinkedIn, we're sort of and talking about different subjects and things, we're shaking that up a little bit as well, and I'm changing my perspective of that, because when I came into this role, LinkedIn was the place where people went for jobs, or you went if you wanted to get another role similar to one you'd had. And so I found LinkedIn a little bit of a strange space at the time of like, I don't really want to connect with you because that's people that I used to work with, or that's my old world, the old me, and I didn't really want to do that. And now through the networking that I do now, there's all sorts of people on LinkedIn doing all sorts of things, and it's an amazing place with lots of spiritual people, with lots of awakened conscious people, with healers and all these sort of things, and with leaders in different types of ways. So connect with me on there as well, and open my eyes to what you guys do, and how we can collaborate and co-create in that space, and make it a different place as well to maybe what it has been in the past. I'll share all my links that people can connect with me after that.
Yeah, all the links for Gwen will be under the show notes. So as you're listening, just go back there and connect there, and definitely follow and see what she's up to. Because in Gwen's words, she's forever growing, evolving. She has, in the time that I've met her, known her. She's a different version than she was 3-4 months ago. And that's a testament to the work she does on herself, to be able to hold the kind of people that she does, to be able to help them transform and change and flourish into their truly sensational life.
Yeah, so, and what we'd add to that is, thanks for that. We'd also say, if you're not sure, if you see a peacock, then you'll know it's me, because my brand logo is a peacock. You might even see them behind me, and you see peacock feathers. That's very much the embodiment of that transformation, because I often see people, when they come to me, they're like peacocks with their tail feathers shut down, and afraid to show our colours, and afraid to kind of step into our power and be who we are. And we're quite often, feeling hesitant to be who we are, or to know who we are. And then once we can step into our own peacock, our fabulous self, then literally the tail feathers come out, and they can shine in all their colours and all their glory, and be their own fabulous self, and strut about a bit more, and be more confident, and be more flourishing and sensational. So as I say, that's the way to know if you've hit in the right space, if you see this purple peacock beside my name.
That's definitely your sign. If you see that, you've got to contact Gwen. The last question that I wanted to ask you, which is what I ask every one of my guests, which is about is there a book that you have read or listened to that has helped you on this journey of self-discovery or becoming fearless or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. And the book that came to mind, I've actually got it there, is Believe. So it's it's Believe by Liv and Rathel Canyon in the Believe releasing process. And actually I was thinking about it just before we came on to have this chat, that I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for Believe, because that's how I know Amanda, who introduced us. And so it has been transformational. And again, I haven't read it cover to cover. I know a lot. I know the principles of it, and I teach a lot of the principles of it. So, the main part of believe is what's called the believe releasing process, and it's how we how you discover your higher self. Who I work with my higher self and introduce my clients to their higher self, and through that relationship with our higher self, we reconnect to ourselves. We connect to low stored vibration and how that impacts us and affects us through our life. We release ourselves from low stored vibration, so we raise our vibration, and it kind of takes on the work of Abraham Hicks and Jerry and Esther Hicks in a new way. And so people often come to it through manifesting, law of attraction, these types of things, and then it just takes it on in a whole different direction. And so that was transformational and life-changing for me, discovering that book and discovering their work and this community. And as I say, we wouldn't know each other and be having this conversation if it wasn't for that book. So it's very apt that I chose that book as the one that was transformational for me and really empowered me.
Yeah, but for certain. And I haven't read that book, so I'm definitely going to go and get that on my list of books to read for certain. So Thank you so much for chatting, Gwen. I know we could have kept going, but I'm hoping that people listening have got a flavour of how you can really, at any age, whatever we want to call this midlife age, at any time really, you can step into a whole different life. And if you like what Gwen does and how she helps and how she really supports in a very, very nurturing way, then please do get in touch with her, because I personally have experienced Gwen's wisdom when we did some work for each other, and it was magical. So definitely get in touch with her if you feel like there's a pull, there's something going, actually, I'm not quite sure what I want to talk to you about, but there's something. Definitely follow your nudge. It's something Gwen and I both talk about, follow your nudge.
Absolutely,
so thank you so much.
Following the breadcrumbs and following those nudges and listening to them. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. It's been great to chat to you, and thank you for this opportunity.
You are so welcome. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope that you're feeling energised, fearless and inspired to take action today to stand in your greatness. I share even more tools and resources on my I Dare to Leap email newsletter. By signing up, you not only get early access to the I Dare to Leap products and services, but you also get brand new podcast episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, meaning you'll never miss your weekly dose of becoming fearless energy. Sign up now at www.idaretoleap.com/newsletter or click the link in the show notes below.